I'm Reah,
I'm Ruth,
and this is Mom Brain,
or Mum Brain.
where we discuss topics including stages of ages, parenting through grief, letting adult kids be adults, maintaining self, and more. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so cold. And I know, I was like, it's summer there, so she's gonna be dressed warm. And I was like, well, maybe I should dress like I'm hot too. And then I was like, no, because
No.
one of the things that I wanted to maybe touch on is to do something talking about our similarities and differences. And one of those is where we
Yeah.
are in the world, which is so crazy and interesting to me because I've never I've never had like a friendship or anything with somebody who's on completely different place. Like I've talked to
Yeah.
people. It's like a little bit of a time difference, but we're like way far away.
Yeah.
And then there's like different words that we say different. Like I say mom, you say
Yeah.
mom, and
Yeah.
little stuff like that. So, because it's interesting. And I don't know, like I've listened to a couple podcasts that have co-hosts, but they're always maybe in a different state. But I don't know of any, excuse me, podcasts that have
Different
co-hosts
countries.
in different countries. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. That's
yeah,
true. I hadn't actually thought of that. But yeah, I can't think of any that that I've listened to anyway that I'm aware of where that happens. But
yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I find it super interesting because I just finished editing a book called Badass Asian Women. And the publisher and the lead author in it is actually in Australia, but she's in Perth, which is a part of Australia I've never been to. Like it's the other side of the country completely from where we are.
Yeah.
And it's I think it's like a 4.5 hour flight or something over there. Like it's and a long, long, long drive.
Yeah.
And I've never been there. I've lived in Australia since I was 10, so 40 years, and I've never been there. But the purpose of her book was to draw out stories of Asian women and the
Uh,
um, like the expectations of culture and society and how they've had affected their lives and how they've overcome it. And I was a little nervous because while I have Asian friends, I'm not in that culture. Like I was a bit sort of, oh, I need to do
right.
the right thing for them, and said to them all, please, if something comes up and I'm insensitive or I say something bad or whatever, please talk to me about it. And because it is not my intention. And but when I edited their stories, there were so many similarities. I cried with them, I learned with them. I was like, oh my God, it was mind blowing because, and some of them are in overseas as well, like in the UK and in the US. But even so, even though they've grown up in these different cultures, different countries, there were parts of their stories that resonated so deeply with me as a woman, as a mum, all of that stuff. And I was like, wow, this cultural divide is not necessarily as divisive as where it's made out to be. It was really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I was sitting here trying to think. Yeah, it's one of the things that I've learned in being a part of Brains and being a part of different like women in podcasting and different things like that, different groups and different things, is that we're really not so different after all, like we may have we may say, we have different accents, we have different wording we may use, we may call things different things, we may even have different ways of living. But we're really, as moms and wives and women, we're really not that different after all.
No, no, I completely agree. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, I think as business, sorry, I was thinking
Yeah.
as business women as well, there's also that, we have the pressures of families and children and business and society and how it's viewed. And it's I don't think it matters where we are in the world. And our kids are facing very similar things going on in their worlds as well. And for them, I hadn't actually thought of this. Now I'm just, it's all just coming into my head. But for our kids, the world, they've grown up with the world being more accessible and smaller. They have friends overseas. They think it's quite normal to learn about something
Yeah.
happening in another country.
Yeah.
Whereas I didn't really have this level of contact with people in other countries until COVID. And that's one of the blessings that I see of that happening, was it had just opened up um, friendships, clients, relationships, growth, learning, like experiences, all that kind of stuff. It's
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
particularly in regards to what our kids face, I think. It's
Yeah.
good to have a knowledge of that.
Yeah. Well, and so the internet, talking about kind of networking, meeting people online.
Mm,
I was a teenager when like not even social media, but like AOL chat was like
yeah.
our social media kind of thing. Um, and I made a couple of friends online, really good friends. I also met some not great, had some not great interactions, some unhealthy interactions. Which partly because our parents weren't really guided to
Mm,
or knowledgeable to navigate us through that as to where now we are, and if we're not, we can be. Like
yeah.
I know things that I've taught my kids because of experiences I've had via the internet of what I know you better not be doing and what it's okay to do and safe to do. And I have one of my daughters, she has met a few friends online, and she told me, and I was just like, "Did you?" And she's like, "Yes." She's like, "I chatted with them, on video to confirm a few times that they were real people. I didn't give out personal information. I was very careful, blah, 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 blah." And I was like, "Okay," because and even
Yeah.
still, I'm still watching them, kind of thing. But it's, we didn't have that really because our parents hadn't experienced parenting through the
Mm.
navigation of the internet and social media and stuff.
And I hadn't either. Like I'm, a fair bit older than you. Not sure exactly how many years, but I'm 50, so however many years that may be. And I didn't get my first phone until I was 21. And I was one of my first friends, and it was the old brick Nokia. Like, it had two games on it, and they weren't snazzy at all.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't think I got on social media until probably 2008. So, and my eldest son, who's now 22, he didn't get a device until he was, I think, about 9. But
Mhm.
then his siblings were like, because they all got iPods this one Christmas, and I think he was 9, but his siblings would have been, what would that be, 5 and 6?
Mhm.
Um, so, and and I was pretty, I guess, pretty wary because it was very, very new to me as a parent.
Yeah.
So when each of them got Instagram, I had their Instagram on my phone, and I know I was not nearly as strict as a lot of the other parents were, but it was because I needed to understand how these things worked rather than to be able to help guide them, because I had no knowledge. And then, with Snapchat and TikTok and all the other things that have come in, they're teaching me, and I'm sort of doing the
Mhm.
whole, is this safe, and where is it safe, and where is it not safe, and how does it work? And it's such a difficult thing to navigate as a parent with no understanding. And I
Yeah.
know that like some of my peers, other parents that are my age or whatever, they're really scared of what can happen, understandably.
Yeah.
Um, and then there's a lot of restriction around it, and I understand that, but to me, it has the same thing as, if a kid's going to drink, or a kid's going to do drugs, or a kid's going to do whatever, they're going to find a way. So I would rather that they had that access and that learning, and it become gradual learning of how to navigate, and then they feel safe to come to me and go, hey, this has happened, and this, I don't know, fight has happened, or this bullying situation is going on, or I'm talking to some person that I don't know if they are really a 14-year-old
Right.
girl.
Yeah.
um it feels, there's risks, but you have to help them navigate it, and by making it a no, you can't do that, they're not,
Yeah.
they'll just do it behind your back. Like I know kids who have second phones because their parents don't let them on social media. So for me,
Yeah.
it was all part of that same journey. And I'm sure I've made mistakes along the way. And I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that has gone on that I'm completely unaware of.
Well,
But
if
they
you
have to learn how to be safe themselves.
yeah, yeah. Well, and if you say that you haven't made mistakes, you're lying to yourself. So,
Yeah. Yes, correct.
you know, yeah, it's funny. I don't think that I say so I'm 38. Um, I had my son when he was when I was 14. I had him, yeah, when I was 14. So, there's a lot of stuff that I didn't know then. And even now I'm parenting a 20, almost 24-year-old, and that's still new. Like
Yep.
I've my youngest daughter is turning 15, so I've got a little experience now parenting 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds, or yeah,
Yeah.
but it, if I if I said that I was making no mistakes, I'd be lying because I've never parented a 24-year-old before, like so
Yeah.
I'm gonna make mistakes there too. But it's just like anything, if you put your time, your attention, and your education into it, your dedication,
Mm.
you're gonna make a little bit less mistakes, but you're still not gonna be perfect. And
Yeah.
like I said, if you say that you are, then you're lying to yourself and everyone else.
Absolutely.
Oh, so I wanted to kind of um let like I said, we did a kind of like introductory
Mm.
episode to you for you, but I wanted to kind of give everybody a little bit of a feel of the fun that they're in for. Oh, I'm so, so, so excited to not only have like a co-host because that's really what I wanted. I really wanted a podcast where I could have a mom friend that I could do this with. Um,
Yeah.
and I talked to a couple different people. Our schedules didn't always mesh, or they didn't feel like it was a fit for them because of maybe age and differences in ages of kids, or whatever the case may be. And our schedules are they only mesh because we make them work. Um,
Yeah.
so fun
Yeah.
fact, you are okay, you're 19 hours ahead of me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So
And in
it
the future, I remember being I was writing a multi-author book and we had meetings every second week or something on a Thursday morning, my Thursday morning. And it was at 5 o'clock. And then the clocks changed and it was at 6 o'clock. And I was like, yes. But we came in once and there was a few other Australian authors as well. And we were meeting and all the Australian authors were there. Like there was six of us, I think, and we were all there at 5 o'clock in the morning. And one of the American like the leaders of the project, she was like, the Australians are always here first and it's so early for them. And one of the other ladies went, yeah, you guys are the people in the future. Like, what's happening tomorrow? And it's always stuck with me because it is like it makes sense, obviously, with the way the world is, but it's so strange as well that I'm sitting here on Wednesday morning and it's like
I know.
literally Tuesday lunchtime or whatever for you. Like, it's so weird.
Yeah. So it's what about 5:18 there, and it's AM, and it's 1:18 PM here. It
Yeah.
it is it's really funny. But it took me a while to grasp this because I was like, okay, wait, what time is it there? Okay, it'll be here. What am I behind? Yeah, it took me a minute to
Yeah.
figure it out, but I think we've got it now. Now, if we change times, I'm gonna be confused again because I got it in my head 5 AM, 1 PM, and that's all I know.
Do you have daylight savings? Like, do your clocks change?
Mhm, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So that will happen at some point. We're going to be on I don't even know which way around it goes, but there'll be less of a time difference, I think. Yeah.
So it's spring forward, fall back. So
Yeah. So we're
you're
going back and you're going forward. So it'll be 17 hours difference.
oh,
Yeah.
okay. Wait, so we're not even going the same way? So you guys are going back and we're going forward?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
It's so weird. And in Australia, I mean, it's a big country, so like the US, I guess, there's different time zones across the country as well, but not the
Yeah.
entire country does daylight savings either. It's
Really?
state by state. So it gets so confusing.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Yeah.
Yeah. So even like Queensland, which is in the same time zone as Melbourne, like we're on the same side of the country, they're just further north. They don't do daylight savings. So I had a meeting a couple of weeks ago with a friend and colleague in Queensland, and we'd had a chat organizing it. She was like, "Oh, 12:30," and I'm like, "Yeah, cool." So I'm sitting there at 12:30 going, "Where is she? Like, come on, got stuff to do today." And then I realized that they don't have it. It's actually 1:30 my time, 12:30 her time. I was just like, "Oh my
Oh,
Lord."
so you're like, ugh.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's
Um,
one thing, speaking of the internet, though, the good thing about that is you can Google the time differences.
yeah.
And I know with Calendly, I have mine set to EST.
Mm,
So I would imagine that it automatically converts for whoever's scheduling the event.
yeah.
I
It
think so.
usually does. I have had some where it still shows up at like your time zone rather than mine. And then I have to open Time Buddy and sit there and look at it and go, have I got it right? And then double check it and then triple check it because there's every
Right.
chance I'm going to get it wrong.
Right.
And then check with the person as well. Now, I just want to double check. Um, yeah. So, but yes, I think Calendly does change it, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, my brain would not cope with that at all.
Yeah, well, and I'm just sitting here thinking, like, imagine if I had like different people in different places, then I mean, it was difficult enough for me to keep up with this time difference. And now, so I'm
Mm.
like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm glad
And
that we can do it via the internet though, because
yeah.
well, for one, we wouldn't be talking if we couldn't do this virtually. Um, it's a lot of flying to do every couple weeks or so.
Yeah. Doesn't sound too bad, but probably would never happen.
Right, right. A lot of little mini
And it's
vacations.
even like I'm sitting here, it's what, 20 past 5 in the morning, and I am sweating. It is so hot. It was really hot last night. It's going to be a scorcher the next 2 days. I actually just had to pull, this is not great, but there was a pair of shorts on my floor, probably from another early morning podcast that I'd done and whatever. And as we started talking, I had to sit on them because my legs are sticking to the seat and it's painful. Years
Meanwhile,
ago. Yeah, go on.
I'm over here sleeved up with the heat on.
Yeah, I know. It's just so funny.
And look, 5 a.m. Are you used to getting up really early? Like I know all our meetings have been this early, but is that just like a thing that you do?
Not willingly. It it is, but only look, prior to COVID, I did usually get up about 5:30 and 2 or 3 times a week, and I'd go for a walk, go to the gym because, I've got 4 kids and busy lives, so evenings, they'd have a lot of sport and dance and work and all of those sorts of things. So I
Yeah,
found that the mornings were they were my time. They were a time that I could get up and write or do some exercise or have a cup of tea in peace or whatever it might be. Like it was that did become my time. But then during COVID, when my business changed and I started connecting with people overseas and having clients, and now that it's a couple of years on from that, because I have a lot of clients in the US and Canada, I have to get up early to if I want to have a meeting with them because it seems to be the only time that can work. So I've
yeah,
struggled with that because then I usually don't try and schedule meetings until 6 because I need to be awake and give my
yeah.
clients the best version of me, not the I'm still having a coffee version of me. Um, so and I did start doing that at 5, but then I'd have to be up at 4, and then I was just getting so tired. And the kids have still got dancing, and they're a bit older now, obviously, but they've still got stuff on. And
Yeah,
I'd find that I'd either be with them at a night time, which is great, or I'd still be working, and it was stretching out my work hours, from 5 in the morning until 9 at night, and I ran myself into a hole. I was just exhausted, and as much as I love my job and I love my kids, I was kind of losing there. And then my partner was like, why don't you just have an afternoon nap while they're at school? And there are times that I have, like I've stopped at 2 and had a nap before school pickup kind of thing. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I needed to bring some not control back in, but some space where I wasn't of an evening going, well, I'm still working and I wasn't focused on the kids or dinner or but if I watched a movie with them, I'd fall asleep because I'd been up since 4:30. So
Right.
um
Right.
I'm still working on that. Um and if I work with anyone in the UK, that tends to be evenings. So again, I was doing that sort of stretch out of my working day, and that's not really healthy for anyone. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I have such a unhealthy relationship with bedtime. I mean, I have a healthy relationship now, but it's because I've put certain things in place. But
Mm,
it was like I used to like stress out about bedtime and sleeping and getting up and all these things. And I stay on healthy relationship because I hate taking medicine and I do take
yeah.
medication to sleep. Um, but if I don't have a very intentional afternoon routine, I have a horrible relationship with sleep. And so I've made changes now to where I'm like, okay, I have to go to bed by this certain time. I'm usually in my bed by around 8 o'clock. I don't go to sleep until 10 or so. But if I don't have that like wind down time, then my whole routine is kind of thrown off. And it is something that my husband has pointed out to me is like you need routine with things because if not,
Mm,
my ADHD brain just like takes over and things are chaos. And I used to think I thrived in chaos. But now that I don't have to live in chaos, I realized that I was not thriving. I was very
yeah.
poorly getting through.
That's so interesting. 'Cause when my kids were younger, and it was prior to COVID, I have mentioning COVID all the time, but it's very delineating in my life, I
I
guess.
mean, yeah,
Um,
but it changed some things though. Yeah.
it did. Um, they were busy. I was busy. I was very, very strict in routines because I have recently discovered that I also have an ADHD brain. So yay us. Um,
Yay!
yay. But I didn't know that then. And thankfully discovering that has given me some a lot of understanding, but also compassion for the struggles that I had, particularly when my kids were younger. And so I literally, at the start of every term, particularly at the start of the year, I had a color-coded spreadsheet of every single day, and it fitted in activities, work, exercise, family time, like downtime. It was literally this scheduled thing. And my now ex-husband and I would share it, so he would know what was going on. We'd stick it on the fridge so the kids could have these visual cues as well, which I see now was my way of trying to create that structure that you're
Yeah.
talking about.
Yep.
And I think it was so interesting the word that you just used, because looking back on that now, it was kind of organized chaos because
Hmm.
I had to do that. But then if something went wrong and someone was sick or injured, like if someone broke an arm or something like that, it was just this like, oh, kind of thing that would happen in my brain. And I'd be instantly, okay, well, my daughter did break her arm, my youngest one, and it was on a Wednesday, which is our busiest night. And I literally went
Mm.
into the, how am I going to get everyone to their various sports? And how is this going to happen? And how are they going to get home? And how are they going to be fed? And what's going to happen? Because I need to take her to the doctors or the hospital or whatever it was that we did.
Yeah.
And I was only that one of my girlfriends said to me, they can miss dancing tonight or they can miss basketball tonight. And that had not even entered my mind that that was an
Yeah.
option. Yeah.
Yep.
And I was like,
Yep.
what are you talking about? Of course they have to go. Like, they can't
I
miss out
can't
just
bring this.
because someone else has got
Yep.
something. Like, and I was pulling in favors from friends, which community is huge for me. So I
Yes.
had friendships within those communities. I had parents that I could rely on and parents that I helped as well. Like it was a mutual thing. So
Mm.
it was okay to go, hey, can you pick my kid up from school and can you take them to basketball and can you drop him back home? it wasn't a problem, but it added these other layers of, rather than, hey, everyone, Em's broken her arm, you guys all need to be home. Um, you know, let's just roll with it and bring that chaos down. It to
Yeah.
put me into more chaos, but very, very controlled and organized chaos. So that's really interesting. I hadn't looked at it really from that perspective before, but
Yeah.
and now I've relaxed a lot of that.
Yeah.
Which is, and they're older, so it is a little bit easier. You know, one of them's
Right.
driving, they're not all at school, they get themselves to sport, so there is a little bit more relaxation in there anyway, naturally. But
Yeah.
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 Hmm.
Well, I've been on both both ends. Like I've been in the controlled chaos, to where if yeah, like if something went outside of this structured plan, I'm freaking out. So
Mm.
it's definitely also my husband is definitely more of a laid back planner, kind of he's definitely not like crazy ADHD burn. So we balance each other out because sometimes I'm like, he likes the plan. And now I'm kind of like, I need plan and structure, but
Mm.
it's okay if something happens, throws it off. Whereas he used to be like, I have this routine and this is the route. But that was just for him. And that's how he was, because
Yeah.
prior to us moving in together and taking on the baby together, it was just him or him, taking care of his mom. So he didn't, he could just kind of live for himself and structure himself. And now there's seven of
Chaos.
us. And so it's a nice little mesh. He keeps me
Yeah.
grounded when I'm squirrely brained and forgetful and not sticking to structure. And I taught him that, hey, life happens
It does.
and it's okay. We can work around things. It's fine. It
Yeah.
may be annoying, but it's okay. Say what I want you to say.
I know, Mom. I know, Mom.
Okay, that was good. Thank you. Visit www.philology.net